Right, good morning, everyone. I would like to thank you, precious gems, for being here. I am Simone Claxton, president and founder of the Sapphire Miriam Foundation, a nonprofit organization incorporated in the beautiful Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Today is September 14th, 2024. Yet another year, yet another month, yet another day. I give God thanks for health and strength. Wow, I was just about to say it's a bright and beautiful sunny day, but we have some rain here, so it's not exactly bright and sunny, but it's a beautiful day nevertheless. So I'd like to thank you ladies for coming out. We have some young ladies from all over the country, and we have a few joining in online as usual. So we have our ladies from Dominica, so I'd like to shout out to them. And also Shadika is joining us in Guyana as well. So today we're going to be doing public speaking, meet and greet etiquette, as well as dining etiquette. And today's session is called Mouthful, right? So it's a dining and a public speaking etiquette event. So we have a couple of parents with us. So I'd like to welcome Deoki and Marilyn. I'd like to welcome Nirvana and her brother. Nirvana is one of our volunteers. She's from Trinidad, and she'll be taking our photos and doing a bit of videography. And I would like to welcome our twins, Denika and Divya. They've been with us for the past couple of years, and they are now our peer mentors doing their volunteering. So they'll be supporting our young gems. So I thank you, ladies, for supporting. I'd like to welcome my friend Trisha, who's supporting us at the moment. We have Akenna Kublal, and we have Miss Camille, Bellote. We have two fantastic presenters today, okay? So, without further ado, I would like to welcome Marilyn, who's going to say a quick word of prayer. Okay. Shout out to our sponsors. We have National Lotteries Control Board on with us as usual, so we're really great to have them. We have NGC, National Gas Company. We have TGU, Trinidad Generation Unlimited. Okay, and we have the Unitrust Corporation of Trinidad and Tobago. So we have some wonderful sponsors with us, and we are waiting a couple of sponsors to come on board. And we'd also like to say thank you to the Bankers Association. They've been really great partnering with us thus far. All right, so I would like to say, Marilyn, let's have a quick word of prayer, and then we will introduce our first presenter, Ms. Camille Bellote.
As we bow our heads, Heavenly Father, oh God, as we approach your throne, we humble ourselves. We thank you, O God, for your mercy that enjoy forever, dear God. And we want to thank you, O God, for this gem, that this session this evening, dear God. Father, I pray, O God, that Lord, Father, you're going to have your divine way, give them the wisdom, O God, the understanding, dear Father. And I pray, O God, that we will have a good time, dear Father. I pray, oh God, that everything that is to take place, dear God, that you will bless it, dear God, you're going to increase it, dear God, and, oh God, fruits will come forth, dear Father, in no other name, in Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you for that, Marilyn. Right, so I'm really looking forward to Camille's session. She did a session with us a couple of weeks ago, and I've learned so much. And I think for me, it's enhanced my public speaking skills, and I'm looking forward, so I'll be as brave and as bold and as confident as Camille is, okay? So, without further ado, let us welcome Mrs. Camille Bellote, our public speaker facilitator for today.
A wonderful morning to everyone. I want to say thank you to Ms. Simone Claxton for having me. And, to the persons who serve with her on her board, I appreciate teamwork. And it's always good to have those persons standing, rooting for you and supporting your vision, supporting your venture. So as Ms. Claxton would have said, she introduced me as Miss Camille. Yes, I am Camille Fraser-De Bellote, and I will be your facilitator for the area of public speaking this morning. So by the show of hands, how many young persons were online that day when I came in? I think it was 2 Saturdays ago, just by the show of hands. All right, nice. So you all got the first part, right? And then the others, you all were not there. But listen to me, it's nothing short. Yeah, so what I'm giving you today, it's going to help you. It's going to serve as though you were here last 2 Saturdays. I want to say thank you the Sapphire Miriam Foundation. I bless God for the vision that you all hold fast to, and may you all continue to run with that vision and serve the young women rather. I love to work with young women and young men, so we are here to have some fun, yeah? So public speaking, when we hear about public speaking, we hear about the mic. We think about the audience first, and we get afraid. We have the butterflies bubbling in there, like, Miss, don't choose me. I want to speak. Miss, you want me to speak? Me? No, not me. Anybody ever had that moment? Miss, not me, please. Don't pick me, pick her. I'm not ready yet. Let me drink some water. Let me go to the bathroom. That kind of butterflies, we know about that. But you know what? Butterflies is natural in public speaking. It reminds us that we are human. And it also encourages us to give our very best. Because the moment that you stand in front of an audience, you got to think about excellence. Giving so that you would be well received, and so that your audience would receive what you have to offer. And I believe each one of us here, there's an impact for you to make. And you cannot make that impact by being silent. You cannot make that impact by hiding behind the door. You got to make that impact by speaking and being forward. And in order for us to be forward, there's a level of confidence that we must have in ourselves. And if we are not confident, we're going to hide. So confidence as well works as you stand in front to give of yourself. So today we are going to be very brief, and I'm going to help you along the lines in terms of what do I do when I'm called upon to present. Let's just say you want to be a public speaker, or let's just say Miss Simone asks you to chair or host an event. What would I do? So we have the do's and the don'ts before us, but we're going to focus more on the do's, yeah? So I'm going to pass some information around to you. It's going to be so very beneficial as you transition season by season where life is concerned. Even at an interview, public speaking matters. When you go in and the boss man asks you, what can you bring to this establishment? You got to speak. You got to know you. You got to be confident in yourself to let him know, hey, I'm a team player. I'm a people's person. I function well in the area of public speaking. So you got to know you in order that you sell you, and you are a brand. As you move forward today, I want you to see yourself as being a brand. Repeat it after me, being a brand. So any one of you have cell phones out? Yeah? I want you to take your cell phone and take a picture of the person next to you with the artwork that you made, because this is a memorable moment and I want you to go away with something very valuable. So take a picture with the person next to you smiling, all happy, all jolly. You may not know her, you may never have met her before. We're building relationship, right? Nice. So go ahead and take the pictures. Don't be shy. We want to capture the moments. I'm waiting. Ah, lovely, nice. My team on the corner, they're doing the do. My team right here doing the do. Who else again with the pictures? Lovely. I hear a phone going off here. Nice, we can live with that. All smiles in the corner here. Yeah, yeah. Nice. Lovely. So some fun included there as an icebreaker. So we are going in. Let me pause a bit right here. Lights, camera, and action. Nice. So we are before an audience. So I am before an audience, and at some point in time, I would call you to stand in my position, and you would be in front of the audience. Yeah? And as you stand in front of the audience, I want you to recognize yourself as of worth. I am of worth. So as I stand in the front here, I'm going to give my very best. I'm going to give my very best. Even if while you are presenting and you make a mistake, you were supposed to say them and you said that, you were supposed to say him and you said he, it's all good. It's all good. What matters is, what do you do when you make a blunder? When you make an error? You keep on. There are persons waiting to hear you. There are persons who see you as the authoritative figure. So I'm very certain that All of you here looking on at Miss Camille. Miss Camille, you have something for me. I'm looking at you as the leader. So the moment that you get in front of the audience, you are a leader. How do you lead? You lead by example. How do you lead? You lead being forward. How do you lead? You lead being open. You got to speak to lead. You got to command the people. So when we think about public speaking, we are calling up people to action. Let's just say you go out to be a motivational speaker. You are motivating a people to move from one thinking to another. Let's just say you're speaking to some young people at school and you want to motivate them to thinking about their next level, their next season, tertiary level, getting involved, in higher level education. Your speech would be tailored to motivate them. What you share with them must be valuable enough to have them thinking, boy, yes, after school, after this 5 years, I believe I do want to study nursing. I believe that is the go-to. All this information that they gave me here today, yes, I'm going to run with it. So we have some pointers here. When we think about communication, communication is the backbone in society. If I were to come in here and be mute, that would not be communication. You got to speak, and while you speak, I'm listening. And then when I get to speaking, you listening. So right now we are communicating. You are exercising your active listening skill. So you are listening to Miss Camille, and as Miss Camille speak, you are getting everything that I have to share. And in the instance where you are not certain, it's okay to raise your hand and say, Miss Camille, could you give me that again? Could you reiterate? Could you break it down so that no one is left behind? So communication is a two-way street. 1, 2. If I alone doing all this speaking, nah. If while I'm speaking, you not listening, nah. We got to have it where someone is listening and someone is speaking. When we think about public speaking, it's very important. We speak every day. We communicate with our parents, we communicate with our friends. And even when we communicate, it goes a long way. Just think about you communicating on the phone, you communicating on your devices, you communicating through letter. So communication is broad. It's very important. We need it to survive. A husband and a wife. Wife must communicate with husband. Husband must communicate with wife. For those of you who live with your parents, if you need to bring a point across or your parents need to direct you, communication. So it's big. So when we think about public speaking, it's beyond the mic and standing in front of a podium. When you go for an interview for that new job, ladies, that day is public speaking. And when you present yourself at that interview seated and waiting for these questions, how you respond to these questions will determine if you get that job or if you don't get that job. So by the time he asks you, what's your name? And you forget your name, that could work against you. And sometimes we are in that moment and the person asks you, have you ever heard this phrase? Tell me about yourself. And you forget all about you. You forget that you are 14 years of age. You forget that you live in San Fernando because you're so afraid. Like, no, where did this fear just come out from? So while we are saying that the anxiety or what you feel in terms of the nerves is okay, you must be able to manage it. You must be able to manage it so that you will be able to execute. So tell me about yourself. And you know yourself so well that when you sell yourself, when you speak about yourself, you speak highly about yourself. You speak highly about yourself, and that is staying in tune with who you are. What do you do? What do you love? Who you are is beyond your name. That's just your name. Who you are would speak to attributes about yourself, qualities about yourself that sometimes we miss. When persons ask us to introduce ourselves, we forget to say that we are a team player. We forget to say that, we love to read. We're a people person. We love to meet new people. Those are good things that you want to let persons know about you. That's you. You can only be you. I can only stand here and be Miss Camille. I cannot be Miss Claxton. I can only be Miss Camille. And when I represent as Miss Camille, I represent in excellence or with excellence. So when we think about public speaking, an art that, we master. I didn't just get here. So yes, being qualified in the area of radio and television broadcasting, yes, being qualified in the area of communications, yes, doing this over the years, probably like 15 years or so, I still do feel butterflies from time to time. So like last night while I was sitting preparing for today, the butterflies were there. That's natural. But here I am. And while the butterflies may still be there somewhat, I still got to give. I still got to give. So you're going out there into the public and you may be called, what standard are you in or what form are you in? Standard 4. Just think about you being the class prefect and you got to lead an entire class. And the teacher is believing in you and depending on you, knowing that, hey, you got this. The way that you portray yourself would cause that teacher to say, yes, I can count on you. I see you differently. And then the persons that are there looking to you for your leadership, they would be able to look at you and so many things about you they may desire to, be like. They might say, wow, the way she speaks, the way she stands, her poise, the way she dresses, the way she comb her hair. And then someone might say, I like how you speak to us. I like how you're not bossy, how you're not demanding. So many things that we could give to people that can cause people to love us. All of that by leading well, leading with excellence. So here before me, preparation is very important. You have a speech to prepare for. Preparation is very important. You got to research. You got to get your statistics. You got to be able that when you write your points, it making sense. Valid points, factual points. Even if you want to share a real life experience, allow it to be tied in with what you prepare on this document. And even while you are sharing this document, you must know this document so well that even if this document blows away and go under the table during your presentation or a bottle of water fall on it and mess up your work, you know what is there that you can continue to share. So preparation is very important. You know your material inside out. In the absence of preparation and you are working with your nerves, it can cause you to be all over the place. I know of persons who prepare speeches and when they get in front of the audience, they are so afraid that they forget what is on this document and they just ramble any old thing. And someone said, you have 45 minutes. 2 hours later, they're still talking because they refuse to stay here. And we can't blame them. The nerves can cause you to do any crazy thing in front there. So we have the pointers to guide us. If I'm speaking about domestic violence, all that concerns domestic violence, the important stuff that concerns domestic violence, this is what I want on the document to guide me. So while I'm reading from the document, if it's on a podium, ladies, the podium is in front here, so we have a make-believe podium. The document is here, and I'm speaking about domestic violence. I am not reading this document in its entirety, and I'm forgetting that my audience is in front of me. We got to make eye contact. And if you notice from time to time, I'm moving around. So I'm catching my people on this side, and I'm also catching my people on this side. We're building relationship. We're maintaining the contact. If I don't look at you in your eyes, it would speak to me being selfish. And because I know that you are here, I recognize that you are of worth. What I have to offer is very valuable to you. I want you to not feel left out. So as we look in at the document on the podium, I know we may be afraid. Don't let fear keep your eyes on the document and you forget to make eye contact. Let's be very mindful of that. So as we move in, we got to practice. What is here? I got to practice it. Simple as reading it over. Embracing your stops, your full stops, your commas, your pauses. Taking a break at times when you just let silence fill the room or fill the auditorium is so very important. What about your pitch? When you are making a very grand point, you want to elevate your voice and then you can come down and bring it home. If it's something exciting, you bring the vibe. If it's something more subtle, you present in a very calm manner. So all of that you got to be aware of. How about your pace? Sometimes you want to get it done so quickly. You start at 100 and you finish one time. No. Anybody heard you? No. The persons that are listening intently, those persons that they are good at listening, even them, they missed it. Because, what did you say? And in that instant, they cannot shout out from the audience, repeat yourself again. So by the time the event is at the end and they're gone away clueless, because they didn't get an opportunity to ask you, could you please repeat? So they are left wondering, I wonder if she meant, or I wonder if she said. So we don't want the people to be clueless. Yeah? So we are standing in front of the auditorium. Your hands is very important. While I'm sharing, even though I'm holding the paper, my hands is not closed. Soft, very nice. Without a podium, very nice. You work your non-verbals for you. The way that you smile is very important. The way that you wear your face is very important. Some of us, we quench the forehead and cause this person to wonder what she thinking, what she could be thinking. No, we want a soft face. Even if you're not feeling well, even if somebody upset you before you came into the environment, no one must be able to look at your body language and tell that, whoa, something just happened. I wonder what happened to her. That is going to take away from the moment. So as you stand, let your arms be open. Even if you sit in an interview, your arms open, ladies. The feet crossed at the ankles, and we sit seated upright. When you are seated upright as compared to this way sells you more than this way. This way says that you know who you are and you know what you're about. The way that you dress, the way that you appear. It begins with your hair comb, ladies. Your outfit. If you just pick up the jersey and no iron on the jersey, it rumful, it now come out the machine. That could tell about who you are. You just shake out the pants, a little bit of lint here, and you dust it out. No. You want to be able to come out, and as you come out, persons can say, look at her. She wears herself in high esteem. She's confident about who she is. And you don't need to be a millionaire to be confident. Eh? Yeah? So we're there, and we had the interview. Upright. When we stand, ladies, upright. I'm not presenting to you, and I'm like this. I'm presenting to you, and even if I have to come down at you, I'm maintaining that stance in terms of strength. That stance, that solid, upright stance. So we are sharing. The podium is there. The podium is your friend. The mic is your friend. So as you stand and you are using the mic, I know you're afraid to hold the mic, but the mic is your friend. So how you hold the mic is very important. Let me use a bottle. How you hold the mic is very important. So this is the top of the mic. You got to leave that part free. Sometimes when you hand the mic to persons, the first part they grab, it's up there. That is a no-no. Technology is very sensitive. Even as I use the lapel right here, very sensitive. So I find myself hitting it from time to time. I got to be so careful. Yeah? So as we hold the mic at the stem. And preferably from the middle of the stem downwards. So it will depend on how you allow your fingers to be loosened up so that you can grip the mic. Whenever you speak, if you're using a handheld mic, you have got to let that mic go with you. You are not speaking and the mic still here coming. No. Hi, I am Camille Fraser-De Bellote. I want to say welcome to you. It's a privilege to have you here. So amazing. I'm happy that you took the time to be here on this beautiful Saturday morning. Did it move? No, it stayed there. And even if the technical guy, he gave me a mic stand. The way that I work myself with that mic stand is very important. So it's positioned. I can't move it. But however, I can move. So as it's there, I can tilt my body, my upper part, my face, my mouth is there to ensure that you are hearing me. I'm speaking into the mic, but I can use my nonverbals, my face, my hand, just tilting slightly left, right to ensure that I catch my audience. If the mic is at a podium, sometimes you just want to say, sir, Could you fix it a bit? I'm not getting through it. I'm not getting through there. Could you just give it a little tilt? And all of that would speak to you coming in before time and examining your surroundings. Very important. So when we think about practice, when we think about prepare, those little things can go into it and cause your speech to be very effective. Or if you're hosting, as I do, I host competitions, I host events. So it would be a different setting as compared to me coming in to be a motivational speaker. When I go into host events, I want to know if the Prime Minister is coming in. I want to know if the President is coming in, so that when they come in, I can give an official welcome. So let's just say I started the program and the President is not here just yet. And while I'm going in, the President is there, she's coming in, or just say someone is on the stage doing an activity and the President walks in. If I am speaking, I got to pause immediately. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite you to stand at this time as we welcome the President of our Twin Island state. And everybody is going to stand and they may give a round of applause. Her person's going to come in and seat her. And then when she's seated and resting comfortably, all the fidgeting is over. Then I say, ladies and gentlemen, you may have your seat, and we resume. If an act is going on, I am able to interrupt the act to allow her to come in, or I can let the act finish based on where the act is at. And as soon as it's over, I let persons know to please stand as we acknowledge or as we welcome or as we embrace the presence of our president, right? When we come to salutations, very important to know who is there before you. You want to know if there are ministers before you, dignitaries before you. So let's just say all the government ministers are in this room. And you are the Prime Minister. And you are the President. I don't want to be calling your name, but let's just use Caesar to represent the Prime Minister. If I'm saying the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley, I am not saying the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley and I'm looking at someone else. The moment that I get to introducing the Honorable Prime Minister, I must engage him, eye contact. So very important. So sometimes we're shy. We don't want to look people in the eyes. We don't want persons to look at us. It's very important. So I must be able to look at him, letting him know that I know who he is. So it's very important that my salutation, I must know the persons who are present. And according to those who are in high ranking, come down the line. I wouldn't introduce Ms. Claxton before the Prime Minister if the Prime Minister is present. If the President is present, we go based on seniority and we come down the line. Even as I greet the media, members of the media, they are coming down the line. My beautiful young woman here representing from the Sapphire Miriam Foundation, coming down the line. Specially invited guests. So we would start from the top based on seniority and we would come down in terms of our greetings, right? Pausing, I mentioned that is very important. Don't be afraid of silence. Projection is very important. In the absence of a mic, you must be able to understand your voice and understand how you can use your voice. You're not screaming, I'm not screaming, but my tone is lifting, it's coming down to suit the atmosphere. I'm not speaking as if I'm in an auditorium and persons are quite to the back and they need to hear me. I understand the aesthetics of this room and I'm working to suit. All of that is into public speaking. So as we narrow down, passion. If you are passionate about it, it shows. I love to speak, like just call me, I'm ready. I love it. Even when I go out to mentor and coach young women, because I am a life coach by profession as well. And I did not mention that I'm also the managing director of CJ Fraser Broadcasting Production. So when you think about broadcasting, hosting, public speaking, motivational speaking, That is my love. So when you are passionate about it, I believe there's this drive that comes with it. There's this posture that you maintain. Just think about you not loving this at all, or me not loving this at all. How would I give of myself? And I always say to persons, when you are passionate, you go the extra mile. When you are not passionate about it, you can find yourself fighting yourself. Like, why do I have to be here? Why do I have to stand here? Why do I have to do this? So when you are passionate about it, you flow easily. You flow better than when you are not passionate. So passion is very important. And the stage, the mic, the podium, the audience, they are yours. Take care of that. Don't leave a bitter taste in anybody's mouth. You know, when we go into KFC and we want the big piece of chicken and we don't get the big piece of chicken, we want to talk to the manager. Anybody? It's only Camille alone does do that. Mommy's in the back. You want the big chicken. Let me see the manager, please. Where my original breast or where my spicy breast? When we think about public speaking, we can leave that impression on persons as well. We can leave persons feeling not satisfied. We can leave persons wondering if you are a selfish person. You can leave persons wondering, what did she just do there? And on the other hand, you can leave an impact. You can bring people to tears. And when I speak about tears, I speak about good tears. You can cause persons to think about where they are at in life and really cause them to gather themselves as young people. Let's say, gather your frills. Yeah. You can cause young people to think and say, hey, am I wasting time here? I need to regain some focus. I need to regain some consciousness. I need to do better. I need to give better. Let's just think about the talk being honoring parents. And you know you don't honor your parents. Just think about it. And the pep talk is about honoring parents. And after that talk was so deep and it hit home that it caused you to say, hey, I need to really honor mommy. I need to care for my mom. I need to love my mom. I need to love my dad. I need to be more appreciative. I need to be more kind. I need to be more respectful. So when we think about speech, speech has that level of impact, cause you to change your life. It's speeches like these, moments like these, that cause me to have a rude awakening about life and to finding purpose. So if you never get to be a public speaker in the element that I function, just know that as you go into the world of work, even in school, tertiary level, whatever it is, there would be a time when you would be called upon to speak. You would be called upon to make an impact. You would be called upon to lead. And what you say, how you say it, what you do and how you do it would take you a long way. Sometimes persons may want more. They may want to hire you. I remember speaking at an event one time, going up for a competition at a youth organization. And a then junior minister of national security, he came in and we had to share before him. And I can't remember to this date what I spoke about. That was all the way in 2014. And at the end of what everybody shared, he was like, whoa, young lady, where did you get that from? You spoke so well. And I'm in my mind, like, what did I say? I rambled something. And that earned me a position in the Ministry of National Security for a very short season of my life. The way that I conducted myself. And I was very young. I was a teenager. And I was like, me? He saw me? Whoa, me? So it worked for me just by what I said and how I wore myself. So ladies, don't limit yourself. Yes, some of us may be young in this room, a little bit younger than some, but I believe that there is purpose in all of you, each and every one of you. You got to believe it. In spite of what you've been through, because Miss Camille didn't just come up. Miss Camille been through. Sometimes Miss Camille didn't have sugar in her cupboard too, you know, growing up. Sometimes Miss Camille and mommy and daddy gave me a little whipping too to pull main line. I had my moments. Did it break me? No. I'm standing here speaking from a place and making an impact. So as you launch forward, I want you to say, be the best that you can be. Don't stop dreaming. Those dreams, those visions, write it down, make it clear. The book that Miss Simone gave to you, I love it. Don't just let it go home and sit. That business that you may have in your mind from even this tender age, let it Let it come to life. The word of God speaks about writing the vision. I believe everybody know about that scripture. That vision is there written so that the day when you feel to give up, you can just open the book and look back and say, whoa, I have this ahead of me. I still have to accomplish this. Let me dust off and go again. So when you see it, it gives you the encouragement to run again, to go again. In the absence of it, you may want to give up. So there are nations waiting on you, as I mentioned before. When we spoke on that Saturday, there are nations waiting on you. And when I use that term, I use this circle as an example. When I came on last Saturday, I didn't know that Ghana was going to be on. I didn't know that Dominica was going to be on. I didn't know that Guyana was going to be on. And I was just so grateful that as I gave myself, giving my very best, those nations who were there among us, they were able to receive. So when I speak about nations, that there's a very good example. We don't need to take a plane and go to nations, especially as we embrace the online era. We never know who is there seated, waiting for you. So the piece that I gave you, that I gave to you rather, is for you to go away with. I tried my best to break it down very simple for you, and I believe that it's going to help you. This piece that we have at the end here, I said here, knowing and using persons' titles is very important. Sometimes we try to address persons by their names, and I'm not speaking if you're at a forum. I'm speaking about general. As old as I am, I would go to a meeting and I would still say miss or sir. That person have to tell me, say, like, I remember Simone told me, Simone is fine. And that is so hard for me because, but Simone, you're older than I am. I'm giving you some respect here. Simone, like, how can I just Simone? You know? So I have learned that and I carry that through because I've heard young people addressing adults by their names and it's so distasteful. Miss, sir, ma'am is very, very important. It takes you a long way. It says that, hey, you have some respect. You're holding fast to good things. So pay attention to this little note. And, you know, I just want to say thank you for having me. It's really been nice. And I trust that as you launch forward, may not be in public speaking, just remember it's included in everything. And, you know, you just give of yourself and good things would come back to you. So thank you so very much.
Wow. Thank you so much, Camille. To stand and talk after Camille. Oh, that reminds me of the business mixer we had, and someone had to talk after Camille, and then like, oh gosh, they were like, right. So I really thank each and every one of you for coming out. Speaking about nations are waiting on you, it really takes me back. I'm just, you know, kind of emotional because this started as an idea, as a dream, nearly 13 years ago, and I never thought it would come to this, right? I started off as a single mother, wanting to help others, you know, to empower other single women, and wanting to give young ladies a chance to make a difference, a better life for themselves, and not make certain mistakes. Wow. My Sapphire, my Miriam, my Sapphire Miriam. She's been my inspiration. You never know where life will take you, I must say. I'm so sorry. My daughter's 14, and I never know that this is the path that life would take me. You know, you had different dreams and aspirations. I mean, tourism is my field, and that was my life, you know, to travel the world and have a job that kept me all over. And my daughter came into my life, and I became a single mother right after. And I believe that this is where God wanted me because I've now impacted the lives of others. You know, I wouldn't have met any of you if it hadn't been for the road that I've been down, you know. So, I mean, I really thank God. Sometimes you want your life to go in one direction and he totally spins it around, you know. Yeah, he told me, because this was not my dream. My dream was not to create a foundation and, you know, anything like that. And it just turned in that direction. And I really thank God for the direction. When I see the gratitude from the young ladies and from their parents, and it really warms my heart and it keeps me going, because I too have my own personal challenges. And sometimes you feel like giving up and you think, oh my God, is this worth it? And then, you know, you realize you're touching the lives of other people, you know, and you're giving them a chance that they probably wouldn't have had. And nations are really waiting on all of us inside of here. I mean, I never believed that 12 or 13 years ago that I would be touching the lives of persons in Africa, in the US, in the UK, you know, and I really am grateful for this opportunity. It's not my strength, believe me, it's really God's direction, you know. And I must say thanks to everyone who supported me. Thanks to Ricardo Mitchell. This program would not have been where it is if it hadn't been for him online in 2021. We took the program online and he's been behind the scenes, all the graphics you see, our logos, our banners, everything. It's Ricardo behind that, putting out, you know, sessions on YouTube. It's Ricardo behind that, and everybody can see, you know, the work that the foundation has been doing because of the work he's doing behind the scenes. So, you know, and I really want to thank the volunteers. We've got some of the girls, Denika and Divya. They're on with us a couple years now, and they're getting back into the, you know, foundation, supporting the girls. I thank Savannah, she's from Grenada. She is in Canada studying right now. So we have some girls behind the scenes who's really, really, you know, taking the program to heart and really giving back and showing that leadership. We have Jade, this is her second year, Jade, a second year as well with us, right? So we have Katisha. Katisha's been 2021, 22, 23, and she's back 2024 with us as well. We have Clarice, who's been with us last year. Oriana as new, and Jada new. And we have Destiny and Carice, right? So we have some new faces, and when Mary Lee was around last year in December, right? So I really want to, you know, thank you ladies for giving up your time and your energy. Please do not pass up this opportunity. Every chance you get to be in anything with the foundation, make the best of it. You never could tell where it will lead you and what skills and opportunities it will present for you in the future. Always remember, nations are waiting on you. The impact, you never know who or what you'll be in the future and whose lives you can impact. I mean, I come from an ordinary home, you know, growing up, as Camille said, you know, sometimes you don't have sugar in the, you know, your cupboard. You know, my mom, you know, really made every effort to make sure her children got an education. And believe me, your education is key, right? It sets the foundation. If I hadn't gotten a foundation, a good, solid educational foundation, there's no way I could have been where I am today. And because even though I was in a certain situation, I still saw that there was hope and there was an opportunity to come out of it. And I wanted to give other young mothers and other young women that hope, that there is hope. Okay, so dream big, nothing is impossible. Right? I grew up normal, and when my first dream was to go to Paris, and I fulfilled that dream, right? You think, oh, well, you live in the Caribbean, you know, you're just an average person who, you know, think you'd ever go to Europe, you'd ever go to Paris. I've been to Italy how many times? I've been to Holland, I've been all over. You know, I've traveled and I've made my dreams come true. So nothing is impossible, right? And I try to instill that in my daughter and in all of you precious gems here. And I would like to say that this would not have been possible without the sponsors, because everything takes money. Although we don't pay to come into the program to function as an organization, and for the program, it takes money. And we're really grateful to our sponsors, right? We have the Unitrust Corporation with us, some lovely ladies here today. So we're so happy that they took the time to do it just to see what we do, you know, and how it's impacting you ladies. We have National Lotteries Control Board as well. They've been on with us for years. Unitrust has been with us for the past, since 2021, 22, 23, and 24. So they've really been consistent and they believe in what we do. We want to say thanks to all our sponsors. National Lotteries Control Board has been with us for a number of years as well as NGC has been with us for a couple of years. So we really just want to thank them, you know, we want to thank them immensely, immensely. So Trinidad Generation Unlimited as well, we want to thank them. They are based in the south in the Labre area. That's Trinidad Generation Unlimited has been with us a couple of years as well. And we want to thank the Bankers Association because we did some financial literacy and they've been really key with respect to that. Okay, so I'll hand over to Miss Akenna Kublal.
All right, ladies. Good. Is it morning still? Okay, so morning, noon. All right. So good afternoon. Also, good morning. And I know we have some people online, so it might be in a different time zone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. So my name is Akenna Kublal. It is spelled Akenna. So if you pronounce it Akenna, that's fine. I think growing up, maybe my parents mispronounced it the first time, and then the family and friends just went along with it. So I'm like, all right, okay. You can't tell old people that they're wrong now, because they'll be like, oh, you become an adult, all of a sudden you want to correct us with proper pronunciation. So we just go with either one is fine with me. So just a little bit about my background. Firstly, I want to thank Simone for inviting me. And I also want to thank my dear friend Camille, who would have gone before me. And when I say friend, I mean that Camille and I, we go way back. We've known each other since you guys probably when we met, we were probably you guys' age. Lessons, right? We used to go lessons together. We used to go lessons together from school and that kind of thing. And even back when we were in school, I don't think we were friends, but not as close as I think we are now. And it's just amazing how in one season of your life, you might sit here with somebody and you and them mightn't be that close. But then later on in life, you might walk into an auditorium, or you might be a doctor at the hospital, or you might be in some type of career, and you see another girl, and you said, you were in Sapphire, Miriam, with me. And then you all become friends and you collaborate on a project. So relationships and networking is so important. And sometimes as a woman, that could be a challenge. You know, we always want to compete and this and that, but maintaining those relationships in this foundation as sisters and friends, I think is so, so important. So I want to encourage you all to do that even when you get older and maybe you leave here, to stay in touch with each other, because you might feel it will not benefit you now. But if you think about in the US, they have sororities and stuff. Those systems are in place for that, to help each other when they get into different rooms. So it's the same thing I think that you guys should be able to do here, maintain that sisterhood and help each other grow in areas of business as well. All right, so my name is Akenna and I am a business and etiquette coach. But prior to that, I actually worked in protocol at the airport, and then I went on to be a flight attendant for about 10 years. 10 years with one airline, 2 years with another. So I have about 12 years experience in aviation and customer service. I would have left the aviation industry in 2021. And then I just moved on to doing what I do now, which is training and stuff. I have another corporate job. Thankfully, I get to work from home for another company. So I spent 12 years never being home. And now I get to be home all the time. I was like, thank you, God, for repaying me for my labor. But apart from that, I own my own business where I do what I'm kind of doing here today with you guys, which is just really in the area of helping people to become better. Not better by changing who they are, but becoming better versions of themselves. A lot of times we think we have to change who we are to be better, but I think that's a lie. The best parts of us are who we already are. It's just for us to sometimes get a little help to pull it out. All right, so when I started my journey in my career life, I guess you could say, I would have been very, very passionate about flying. So when I was growing up, you asked me what I want to do. I knew from a very early age that I wanted to be a flight attendant. There was a relative in our family that was a flight attendant, and he was male, and I was like, oh, I want to be just like Uncle Stefan. I want to be like him. And I eventually achieved it. It was also a great way to be able to travel for free. So I was like, best of both worlds. And my first stint in the aviation industry was actually at the age of 19. I could say unfortunately, but then also fortunately now, because she gets to grow with me. But I got pregnant at about 19, turning 19 as well. And I thought that I would not have been able to achieve that career, because obviously who's going to help me with this baby now? But it so happened that my mom, she was very supportive, and I had that support. And I went to Antigua for about 6 weeks, had to leave my baby back for training because the airline was based in Antigua. So the training was out there. And it was something that though it was tough for me because of my circumstances, but it really helped to make me much more mature and much more aware of what life is like from a young age, to live in a different place other than Trinidad. you know, how to carry yourself in different countries, what is different cultural things are like, what might be accepted is not accepted here. And I think that's something that I want to leave with you guys as well, to not be afraid to leave the shores of Trinidad. Not today, of course, but to not be afraid to say, hey, mommy, daddy, you know, I feel I want to study abroad. I feel I want to take part in a student exchange program. Look things up, do some research. The internet is your friend nowadays, so you can look up different means that you could maybe do some sort of exchange program, look at a different type of college. You know, those are things that you could look into, because that was very integral in developing me and what I do today. When I left Liat, I came back to Trinidad, and Caribbean Airlines wasn't hiring at the time. And I was like, all right, okay, well, I just, you know, wouldn't bother. And I knew nothing about etiquette and all those things. I learned certain things from flying, but I saw they had an ad for a position in the business class lounge in the airport, and I applied for it. I wasn't qualified for it. Went into the interview, and one of the ladies from HR, she said, I don't know what it is about you. I just like you, you know? And this was actually the first role that they had developed in that, what do you call it, the department in the airline. So my role was priority service representative, and I was in charge of handling all the VIP passengers. So I had no experience with this. I was like, these people wouldn't hire me to walk with the prime minister and the president, and they don't even know, I'm just a regular girl from Arima. Like, I don't know if I can do this. But they believed in me. And I think it was one because of favor, not their favor, but God's favor. Sometimes I think, and this is regardless of your faith beliefs, but if you don't have that belief, I'm sure you can acknowledge that there is times when you just will get something in life that you know that you didn't earn or you deserve. And I believe that was part of God's design for my life. And two, I also believe that it was because, like Camille would have shared, how I carried myself in the interview, that they gave me that job over other people. And especially when it was a new role that they were kind of testing out, they took a chance on somebody who was new and a fresh face. So I got the job, and they sent me into this extensive training in business etiquette and protocol. And I was trained by Arthur Lockjack in how to do etiquette, how to shake someone's hand, how to greet someone, because the way that you would greet dignitaries and stuff like that is not the way that you would greet your friend. It's not, you'll be like, high five. You're not going to give the prime minister a high five. Hi, bestie. You're not going to do that, right? But although he might do that nowadays because they always have cameras around, they want to look real, they want to look down to earth, but it's not the appropriate thing to do. We're not going to go into all of that today. We're just going to probably talk a little bit about the basics, but I just wanted to share a little bit about my background so you could know and understand that I was just like you. Just like you. My parents didn't come from Westmorelands. They didn't, I mean, yes, we live in a country where if you don't know somebody, this and that or whatever, but there are the few stories, and plenty of them, of ordinary people that got a chance, made the best of that chance, and made a difference in their lives. All right? So we'll go more along in the aviation story as we continue along. So this morning, I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about etiquette. So we're not going to take too much time because we're going to do the dining portion when you guys are having a meal. So we will talk a little bit about what etiquette is, the different types of etiquette, and maybe do a little bit of role playing on how we could do, you know, different things. All right. So etiquette in a nutshell is just a basic set of rules, basic set of, we can say, manners that guide society in how to behave properly and make other people feel comfortable. So I have some handouts here for you guys. I think it's in the bags. You can take it home with you. When you go home, you can look it up. But I like to uncomplicate things and say etiquette is just a set of rules that help us to make other people feel comfortable. If you think about the different types of etiquette, there is dining etiquette, which we'll talk about today. But there is also things very basic like internet etiquette that we know about, telephone etiquette, social etiquette. There is even toilet etiquette. How you leave the bathroom. Do you wipe down the sink when you finish, or do you leave it all over untidy when you leave home in the morning? And then mommy have to go in the bathroom and clean up all the hair, cover back down the gel, and all those things. Kitchen etiquette. When you finish, have a meal. Do you leave the kitchen in a mess? You go in the kitchen, it was empty, and you leave your one plate and cup in the sink. Kitchen etiquette. So you can really break etiquette down to a set of rules that help the person coming after you or the person that you are engaging with in that moment feel comfortable. I know when you hear the word etiquette, you're thinking the queen, you're thinking, I have to drink my tea and hold my pinky finger up, but it's really not that complicated. All right? So when let's say you are meeting someone for the very first time, the engagement that you have with them would be falling under the category of social etiquette, because social etiquette is basically how we engage with one another as a society, how we, I guess, make society more peaceful, make others comfortable, and make our peers, even let's say you're in a classroom or at home, more comfortable in our presence. In Trinidad and Tobago, sadly, our society doesn't practice that much social etiquette. If we did, it would impact a lot of things. We would probably have less accidents on the road, less road rage. In the family home, we would have less domestic issues because people would be more caring and courteous to each other. And it would really help us to be better people overall, happier. But unfortunately, we don't. And it's something that I want you guys to not think it's not important, but to remember that it's not that hard to do. It really isn't that hard to be kind. It really isn't that hard to put yourself in someone else's shoes. It really isn't that hard to be a little more graceful. I know that the world has made some of us very, very hard. I know that circumstances tends to make you at times you might have a wall up, because let's be real, life is not easy and it's not the same for each one of us. For some of you guys, we don't know, you might go home to a situation with your parents might not be, in the best type of situation, you might not have the best living situation, you might be going through something with your mental health. We all go through different things, and not every day would feel to be happy, like, good morning, how you going? Morning, miss. Not every day would feel to be like that. There would be days that you'll have a bad day. There would be days that you'll wake up and you don't feel like talking to anybody and you want to stay in your room. But at the end of the day, we have to be mindful that how we greet others and interact with others can have a lasting impact on how that person also experiences that day. For example, what if someone is having a horrible day? They just found out the worst news ever. Someone passed away, or they got some bad news about their health, and you are the first point of contact that they have. And then you just blow them off, or you treat them poorly. You can impact how someone experiences the rest of the day. And sometimes these days, when people's mental health are hanging by a thread, we see it all the time in the US when they're talking about like school shootings and things like that, which is an extreme example to use, but it's a real one that happens, where a lot of the times where these children, where they will commit these really horrible crimes, when the investigation goes back, sometimes the people that they go after first is people who was not kind to them, people who simple bullying or things like that. So I'm not saying that you have to think along those lines, but I'm just saying that people remember how you treat them. Your first impression stays with people. It really, really does. And you don't ever want your first meeting or your first interaction with someone to be one that, even when you try to change it later down the road, it'll be more difficult because they remember the first interaction that you had. They really, really do. I'm sure in your neighborhood, there is some neighbor that everybody might know, is probably a little mean. Maybe she always complaining that somebody played music loud, or she probably always, fussy or something like that. And then on the random day that this person is nice, you're like, why Miss Jane being nice to me? She doesn't even say morning, or, something. It's odd, it's hard. And then when people come around you like that to be nice after you, always think that they want something. Like, why is she being like that with me? Something she wants. Something she wants. Even your parents will tell you that sometimes too. I'm sure when you go around mommy and daddy, nice mommy, they'll say, what happened to you? What do you want? is because they're not accustomed to you being like that. Am I right or am I right? I'm right. So we want that when we meet people, when we engage with people, when we wake up on a morning, simple things, those things are still, it's still necessary. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. In Trinidad and Tobago, we love to say good night anytime it starts to get dark. After 5 is good night. Good night, good night. That's actually not the correct thing to do. We say it here because it's in Trinidad, but good night is left for the last time that you're seeing someone. You're leaving, or if you're actually going to bed, you're on the phone with someone, you're going to bed, you're not seeing that person anymore, that's when you say good night. So generally, good morning is used between sunrise and around lunchtime. So you say good morning. Lunchtime to, I think it's like around 3, 4 o'clock, you could say good afternoon, or maybe even around 3 o'clock. 4 might be a little too late. 12 to 3, good afternoon. After 4, 5, it's good evening. So even 7, 8 o'clock in the night, you get a call. I remember I had one person, you know, people just think they're trying to be slick. Sometimes I answered a phone, about like late 7, it was night. And I said, good evening, and the person was like, good night. And they're trying to correct me. At that time, I had to remember to be kind. Because if you try to correct people like that, they will say, this fancy thing, she's trying to be bougie. But no, I'm just like, it's the correct thing to say. So good morning, good afternoon. And if you say, don't feel bad, but I'm sure tonight when you go home, you're gonna feel like it's gonna come to your mind now. When you walk, you say good night, you're like, shoot, no, it's good evening. And these things you could teach it to your family and friends. And you might be the only person in your home that does it for now, but that's okay. When you teach your parents, I can assure you that if you do it at home, mommy and daddy might play like they're taking it seriously, but let them go to a fancy event in the evening and they dress up and they see people of a certain nature there. They will walk in and they'll say good evening. Something that they probably would have not said before you told them. The lady from the etiquette class told me that it's really evening. You're supposed to say good evening. So you might be the person in your home to teach them those things. All right, another thing that I wanted to share with you guys before we go into the dining is about shaking someone's hand and about sitting. So Camille would have talked to you all about sitting upright. A lot of times people think that sitting upright is hard to do. Like you have to sit down and then position your body. But it's easy to achieve when you go into the chair the proper way. So can I use you as an example? You understand? And you can bring a chair with you. So I'm going to teach you a very, very easy trick to get immediate posture. These chairs probably are not the best chairs because of how the chair is shaped, but we'll try. So when you're going to sit, you want to sit upright. Because if you, just the way that your body is designed, if you sit slouching, eventually you can end up with injuries. There are people who would have spinal injuries just because they have poor posture. So by our general nature, sitting upright is the best thing to do, because if you have a spinal injury, they'll give you a back brace that forces you to sit upright. So it's a natural thing that you should be trying to do. Sometimes you might sit down in the chair and then you try to sit upright. But that's like 2 different motions that you have to remember to do. The easier thing to do is to walk to the chair and try to carry your behind all the way to the back of the chair. And like I said, this chair is not the best because of how it's shaped, but think of your dining chairs at home. Once you carry your butt straight to the back of the seat, automatically when you lean back, you get good posture. And it doesn't look fake or forced. It happens naturally. Am I looking like I'm trying to sit straight? It just happens on its own. All right, so try it and see. Obviously, because I did it, I can't say sit or you'll normally sit, because then you wouldn't sit like that. See? Did it feel forced? Right, it happened naturally. So Monday when you go to school and you're sitting in your seat, try it on your own and see. Now, don't be the person, or you could be, if you have a good relationship with your friend, say, hey, I want to teach you something, try this. Sit down like this and see. You see how your back gets straight up, but you have to know who to tell that, right? Because somebody else in class might say, I'm just sure why she's telling me that. Yeah, she's trying to play thing. But it happens very easily. It's good for your posture, especially nowadays where you're sitting for long hours in front of a computer or things like that. You want to have good posture for health reasons And also it creates an impact, like Camille said, on your confidence, how people perceive you, and even how you feel about yourself. How you feel about yourself too. Greetings as well too. When you meet someone for the first time, you're shaking their hands. We in Trinidad, we're very touchy, touchy-feely people. We love to hug. Even I do it. So, hey, girl, thing, touching somebody, hugging like that. That's Caribbean people. That's how we are. But if you're going for an interview, or even you're meeting a new teacher for the first time, or someone in your school, let's say you're going to meet a social worker, somebody in school, you're not going to walk into the principal office and hug up the principal. Some schools, they might have, but I think that could be a little illegal, is it? Is it right? Yeah. So, but you want to always be able to greet people the right way. So let's get 2 volunteers so you can practice it with me and on each other. So maybe Camille and I can demonstrate first. So Camille and I never met each other. Never for the first time. We now coming somewhere, and let's say I walk into the room first and I'm looking around, but I have nobody to talk to, so I'm like, okay, I have to make a friend. I'm like, hi, my name is Akenna. It's so nice to meet you. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Nice to meet you too.
Awesome. So I looked away before because I was looking at you guys. I was going to ask, so let's try that again. Hi, how are you doing? It's so nice to meet you. My name is Akenna.
Nice to meet you too. I'm Camille.
Awesome. Great. So what did you notice about us? One thing that you noticed? We made eye contact. Very good. So you couldn't feel our hands. But of course, it's women, but some men just give some hard handshake. Yeah. But we were very firm in our handshakes. It wasn't like, hi, morning. Morning. It wasn't like that. We didn't give a church hug, and we didn't give another kind of hug too. Now, sometimes you might meet some people who might want to give a little kiss, a little cheek kiss. Some men love to do that because they want to, raise you up, as you all say. I know the words, I have a teenager. Yeah. They want to raise you up, as you all say. But it's not inappropriate. That's more like a European thing. They tend to do this kind of cheek thing. It's more like a flattery thing to try to flatter you, and no disrespect to the men in the room, but men like to always make women feel like, I'm the man. So women do it sometimes too, like the little kiss. It's not inappropriate. Don't think like, why this man kissing me? Because culturally in Trinidad, you might think, why this man doing that?
Yes,
but it actually, in another culture, it is acceptable. So that's another very important thing to remember about etiquette all around, whether it's dining, social, anything. Where you are matters. Because, for example, you might go to an Asian country, let's say, not all parts of China and stuff, but you go to an Asian country and they may greet you like this. It's not disrespectful, but you might go to Trinidad somewhere, and you go to the bank. You go up to the teller. Good morning. The teller will watch you like, what is wrong with this lady? She's like, okay. All right. So culturally, things you have to study where you're going before, so you know what's acceptable and what isn't. For dining too, that's very, very important. And I always talk about that in a dining part, but maybe I could mention it now. You are not going to eat doubles with a chopstick, right? But eating doubles with your hand is not inappropriate. It's culturally acceptable, but you're not going to go Hyatt and order steak and eat it with your hands. So what you're having, where you are, is very important to remember what is acceptable culturally and what isn't. All right, so in the greeting part, that is too. So 2 volunteers, you all could probably come and practice a handshake. Shy? Okay, good. How about I call a volunteer? This one I need checked. You look like you're going to a business meeting, so. So remember, you all never met for the first time. And you want to introduce by saying your name as well. That's really important. You don't have to give your full name. Depending on the setting, it could be at a wedding and you are the only 2 children there or young people there. That's always awkward, right? When your mother and father carry some event, you're like, oh God, now I have to talk to the one child there because it's gonna be like weird. So you want to, you don't want to be the weird teenager sitting in the corner on your phone, and then the next teenager over there, then you're like, and then you go home thinking, should I really talk to that girl, you know? Does that ever happen? Yeah. But then you also don't want to be rejected. You're like, I don't want her to reject me. Next thing I go and say hi, and then she'll be like, why is this girl talking to me? No, put yourself out there and get to meet somebody new. All right? So you're all going to the wedding together with your parents. Of course, you don't know each other. And you're like, you know what? Instead I sit down here, oh, your battery died? You can't be on Instagram anymore? Let me go and talk to the girl over there. So you walk up to her. Hi, my name is so-and-so. How are you? Nice to meet you.
My name is Jada. Nice to meet you.
Very good. Give them a round of applause. Very smiling, very considerate, very demure, very nice. Very mindful. Good. But etiquette basically is demure principles, if you want to use that word, right? Learning good etiquette is learning how to be demure. And we all, as women, we want to be more graceful these days. I find like lately, young women have felt as though they have to be so tough and so like, abrasive and this and that. Listen, do not let the world make you feel as though being feminine or being graceful is a thing of the past. That is your best quality as a young girl and a woman. To be able to be graceful, to be able to be feminine, to be able to carry yourself in a way as a woman. That's why God created you the way that He created you. And this is regardless of what you believe about sexual orientation. That's your own personal thing. But as women, as young women, it is important for you all to know that nothing is wrong with being feminine. Nothing is wrong with wanting to carry yourself as a young lady. When you go to dinner or you meet somebody and start dating, which is probably in about 10 years from now for some of y'all, right? 10 years from now. But you start dating and the young man comes to pick you up at home. He in the car, he blow the horn and he sit down in the car waiting. He ain't come out to tell mommy or daddy, hi, my name is John, and I'm the person taking out Lisa, I'm the person taking out whoever. Are you insane? You'll still outside like a titty ride chair, and then because clearly you are at the wrong address. He is supposed to come out, meet. Well, first of all, before he even show up, he was supposed to call your parents first. Regardless, I believe regardless of, unless you're like a 20-year, like an adult. But as long as you are still living under your parents' roof, under a certain age, still in school, he's supposed to call your parents. I am so and so, I'm interested in your daughter, etc., etc. This is why we have come away from a lot of those things, but we have forgotten that some countries and cultures had it right. In African countries, they still pay a dowry in some tribes and stuff. Here, what your parents getting when they nothing? Nothing, right? But it's important. So you start dating, he comes outside, he greets your parents. Then when it's time for you to go in the car, he open the door for you. He don't jump in the front seat and then you walking around to open your own door. I'm sure when you get married and later down the road, everybody holding groceries in their hand, things might change. But in the beginning stages, courting and those things are important. All right, and I'm telling you all this now because I might be joking and saying 10 years, but I know for some of you already started exploring those types of relationships and meeting boys and having them, engage you on social media and this and that. Even on social media, messaging, the way that they speak to you, the way that people speak to you, the way that you speak to others on the internet is so important. I'm sure the most annoying thing for me sometimes is when somebody message me, hi, good morning. And then I wait in about 5 minutes after for you to you sent in a message. Couldn't you have included all of those things in the hi, good morning, comma, I am messaging you to find out, etc., etc., etc. No. Hi, good morning. I see him typing. Typing. Let's say just send a voice note or call me. and I put in Camille out there, but Camille and I's voice note queen. Camille and I can send back to a voice notes like 7 minutes. Sometimes I send in a 4 minutes to be like, why we just didn't call each other? But it's better you just send that message, hi, good morning, etc., etc., etc. Send all the details because you never know, that person might be in a meeting, they might be on the road, Our phones and people's phones have given us this idea that we are allowed constant, immediate access with people, and that is really bad. Not only is it bad for our mental health, but it is a little rude to assume that if you message someone immediately, that you are somehow allowed an immediate response. There was a time, not very long ago, I was telling my kids that just this week that when 9/11 happened, I remember I didn't know about it until I got home from school. And that happened like 10 o'clock in the morning. And we didn't know. So you're going about your whole day like normal in school because nobody knew until they got home to watch the TV. Now, if something happens, immediately everybody knows. Something happens, somebody call your phone, right? Look at yesterday with the... Right, immediately. Immediately, people know everything that happened in your life, right through, access right through, right through, right through. So now we have to always assume that, okay, yes, you will have bad days where you would like, yes, you might have a situation where you will have to make it public, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, you want to always make sure that how you communicate with people is the same way that you communicate with them offline. I am sure you know somebody that everything you post online, in your comments, they're very, very nice online. You see them by the shop, they pass you straight. It's like, but you wasn't just telling. Now, some people might have social anxiety, and that's something they have to work through with their therapist or, whatever. But it is good practice for us to not forget human interaction. Human interaction is getting lost in the age of technology, and there might come a time in the future where we might not have immediate access. Who knows? They might do some study and say, you know what, we realize this thing not good for mental health or for even physical health. Let's change things. Let's do it a little different. So how we communicate when we meet people, when we are engaging with people in our day-to-day life as human beings, let's not try to lose that or forget that, just assuming that that is becoming a thing of the past, because it's not. You all probably are not in the working world, well, most of y'all, yet so you don't have to deal with things like emails. But how even at school, I'm sure you have to send a couple emails to your teachers. Email etiquette is important. Written communication is very, very, very important as well too. How you respond, how you start an email using the proper terms. Dear, hope you're well, dear miss, dear sir or madam, if you know the teacher's name, dear miss so-and-so, ending it the correct way, respectfully, sincerely, regards, warm regards, putting your name at the bottom, checking over for typos. All those things are very, very important with written communication. Verbal communication, things that Camille would have shared about, like eye contact, when you're shaking hands, knowing people's names, those things, don't forget those things and don't let it get lost in the age of social interactions, because there will come a time where you're going to need it. Remember, I mentioned about my background in aviation. When we were flying, we didn't have access to no phone. So you have to talk to people one-on-one. And I couldn't hide in the back and say, oh gosh, I'm shy, I don't want to talk to nobody. Somebody asked me for a Sprite, you give them. No, I had to talk. I couldn't be afraid. All right, because you have to be able to communicate with people. People, you are one step away from another opportunity based on who you meet. Your interaction with someone can be an interaction that will change your life forever, and you never know who you would meet. You never, never know. All right, so it's very important for you all to remember that. As we go into dining and etiquette, I just wanted to share a little story about you guys to just embrace the little workshop that we're going to have in this session, because you might think it's not important, but it really is. All right. And I'm sure it's not a big 5-course meal. It's just very, very simple. I'm not going to be eating, but while you guys are eating, I will talk a little bit about certain things that you could do so that it will help making your dining experience, help make your dining experience better, easier, more enjoyable. Remember, we said that etiquette is basically just a set of rules to make the other person feel comfortable. So when you hear the word etiquette, dining etiquette, it is not so that you would know how to eat with a knife and fork just to look fancy. It's so that you would know how to eat with a knife and fork so that you could hold the food properly, so that it might make mess. and then embarrass you, or it wouldn't splash food on the other person or spill it on your clothes. So it's really not about being demure only, but it's about making the meal experience easier, more enjoyable, and in some cases, when you go into real formal dining, it's actually to help with how the food is digested, what they serve first, how you have it, and all of that. You know, if you go to like these restaurants that deal with a lot of like that whole big process of everything, they would tell you, okay, well, we're serving this first, serving this to cleanse your palate, and all of those things. We're not going to do that today. And dining, learning proper dining techniques is, there's just some stuff I have to display. Sorry, I'll put it when we start. I'll take it out just now. When we having the meal, I really want you all to listen and to take seriously. And when you go home after, practice it because it's important. A quick little story. So I didn't think that dining and stuff would have been something real big and important in my life. I thought it would have only been, all right, if I go out on a date or something. And very early in my life, I learned that it was. So remember I told you that I had applied to LIAT and I was successful and all of that, right? So they flew us to Antigua for the interview, and we went up for the interview, and then back to the airport. There was this little restaurant, and they asked us, you want to get something to eat before you head back? So we're like, okay, fine, we have time. This is for the managers and stuff. So we're like, why are they taking us to lunch? Anyhow, we go, and we thought they were just being kind because it was myself and two other girls who came from Trinidad for the interview going to have lunch as we waited on our flight back. So we went, and everybody ordered what they wanted. Who ordered, you know, different things. One girl ordered wings and fries. I can't remember what I had. I think it was just like rice and chicken or something. And at the end, when we were getting ready to board our flights to come back, we saw a flight attendant who was already flying, and she knew we were candidates. So she was like, you all went to lunch after and stuff. You know, that's part of the interview, right? That's the second part of the interview. We were like, for real? Yeah, so who was biting up the bone? Well, needless to say, it was 3 of us went in and 2 of us came out. Two of us made it. But that was a lesson for me that interviews can be not just based on your qualifications. Certain types of jobs, and I even heard Kamala Harris say this yesterday in one of her things, her campaign things, that she said that when she, you know, they always have promises. When she's elected to the US, she's going to eliminate a lot of these things with degrees and stuff. Not discrediting that your degrees are important, but a lot of jobs now are looking for people that are trainable, people that not listen to instructions, but people who have qualities that can carry their company in a place that they want it to go. The job that I do now, I work for a US company. I am the only Trinidad employee. I met my boss on a flight. In 2021, when I left Caribbean Airlines, I didn't know what I was going to do after, and I'll share that little story. So as they're setting up the food. In 2016, I was home. I live very close to the airport. So when there was like nobody to do a flight or whatever, and they need somebody, I would be the person that they would call. And I was off, and they offered me some extra money to do this flight, to go to Florida and come back down. I'll be home by nighttime. And I said, okay, no problem. I went on the flight, and I fell coming back to Trinidad. We had some bad turbulence, and I fell, and I injured my knee. I couldn't come off the plane walking. I had to come off on a wheelchair. And since then, I had 2 surgeries to do. And I never went back to fly after that day. I eventually got retired, medically unfit to fly from my knee. I'm better now, thanks to therapy and stuff. But there was a season that I couldn't even walk. During that time, I started to see these white spots appearing on my hand. And that's when I started to get vitiligo, which is an autoimmune condition that's triggered by stress. And I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do now. The job that I'm in is so based on appearance. I had no backup plan. But the company that I work for now is a gentleman that I knew through flying, and another flight attendant knew him as well. And we just started to develop this relationship. He knew that I was no longer flying, and it's actually a tech company. You girl know nothing about IT. I don't know nothing about tech. who told me, don't worry, we'll send you through the training. I did about a year of training, learning all kind of things. I had to be Googling things. What is this, done that? What is all these things? I'm like, I do a whole degree. But he took a chance on me. I am the only Trinidad employee for this US company. They have clients like Yale, New York Fire Department, and all these things, all because they trusted me because of an interaction that I had in another season of my life. So you might think that learning things like dining is not important. Learning things like how to shake somebody's hand is important. Learning things like how to be kind is not important. Believe me when I tell you, it is in this age that we're living in. It's probably one of the most important things that you could ever do or give yourself, those type of soft skills to learn how to interact with human beings, because everybody could go UWE and get a degree. Everybody could go and get a degree in some field or pull some strings to get a job. But it takes people who have that ability to interact with human beings that are really the type of people that get it to the top, even if they're faking it. You think somebody's big CEOs, Fortune 500 companies, this and that, they are who they are in real life? I mean, sometimes we get to find out that later along the road, they're not like that with their family. I mean, that is bad. We don't want that here. But I'm just saying that to say that they have learned and developed the art of interacting with people, and some people even, like sadly manipulate. We don't want to do that. We want that when we work on these skills of who we are, that it's authentically ours and it's authentically who we want to be, because we want to be good people. Not like you're pretending to be a good person because you just want to get a job, because then it becomes an act and it becomes draining and tiring. All right, so I hope that I made some sort of sense this morning, and I encourage you guys in a little way, even if it was small, to just take your interactions, especially your first interactions with people, a little bit more seriously, and even the lasting interactions with your friends at school, your peers at school. To this day, not very long ago this year, I met a friend of mine. She's a doctor. We went to school together. And she said to me, Akenna, when we were in school, you were one of the people that was very, very nice to me. She was very shy and quiet back in school. Very one of the studious children. Granted, she's a doctor now, no wonder. But she said, you were always someone who was very, very nice to me. She remembered that. Now we're in adulthood. Sometimes if I need something and mom to pocket cola, I can call up. Because you never know. You never know. Yeah. You might be trying to get a house in HDC. And that friend that in school end up being the managing director at the HDC. These things happen. Everybody doesn't stay this age. So how you treat people is important. It's very, very, very important. So if you have not been treating people well, still have time to change it. You still have time to change it. Don't go Monday and apologize to them one time. It might feel weird. But little by little, take some time to be a little nicer. Work on yourself. And it will get better day by day. All right? Okay. So God bless you guys. And this is even for the adults in the room too. I'm sure the adults probably thinking, oh gosh, but Monday when I go to work, I will tell Susie, I'm sorry for getting on like that last week. All right? Let's put this under the rug.
And Akenna, if I could just add, as you were speaking about leaving that lasting impression, and I spoke about a breakthrough that it brought you. I could remember experiencing breakthrough when I spoke about the Ministry of National Security. I mean, that was just a May interview. I spoke, I answered the question, just casual question, a lot of persons around the table. But the thing about that is, while getting to know the person that eventually hired me, they invited me to an event at the Prime Minister's residence. So I was like this little humble teenage girl, we're getting clothes for this. I always remember my father saying to my brother, who is now deceased, have some soft clothes in your wardrobe. And my brother would fight my father on that. My father said, you don't know, something can happen in an interview. You have a little soft pant because the culture would say you put on a jeans. And once you have on a soft shirt, that's good. But time and place, and I remember when I went, I got the call They said, the minister said, go to the airport by so and so, and you have an invitation. So I'm thinking big on it. And when I opened the invitation, I saw this official event, Prime Minister's residence.
It was a virtual invitation.
And they're telling you what to wear. So automatically, they told my mother, Mommy, let me organize. It was so official that they told you where you had to park as well. And I remember going into that setting. Everything was just so official, the way that persons were seated, the ministers at one side, the prime minister at a particular side. And I remember not being able, not knowing how to eat with knife and fork. And I sat at the table and I'm seeing everybody shaking all the napkin. And I'm like, Camille, where do you go from here? So I'm looking in the corners and I'm trying to get it on the moment, because in the moment, I ain't grab it, no go on and eat it with that. So everything they do, I do it too. So they shake out the napkin, they put it on, I do that too. So I'm looking at the person opposite to me to see where she's holding the knife and where she's holding the fork and all the other spoons that are there. So these things new to me, like which is the dessert, which is the soup, and they are serving, you know. And that impacted my life so very much. And it said to me that growth is so very possible in our lives, and we got to be prepared. And as you said there, meeting with persons and the first impact. There's this client, we are also into mental health. So you are seeing the logo that speaks to the counseling clinic. That is the parents company. A male person reached out to us wanting to take his life. So he called the company phone, but when he called the company phone, my husband was getting ready to see a client that called in about depression and being in this dark place. So when he took the call, he was just getting ready to go in and see that client. So after he spoke to the client was a bit hesitant, but my husband said, you know what, our lines are open, feel free. So he left the phone, and then the client rather continues to text. And I'm there texting, and the person they are adamant about wanting to take their life, and they feel so deep in this thing, and they're just fed up and so forth. And I was just there exercising, wearing that professional hat and really showing my heart. I remember in the conversation very early, the man said, you don't know me. Why are you going the extra mile for me? I said, I don't know you, yes. But the fact that you have communicated that you want to take your life, and even beyond that, I consider you to be human. So I want to give you what I would want. If I were to come to you and say, I want to take my life, I want to give to you what you would give to me. Mm-hmm. And I tell you, it didn't matter about the counseling fee, because we told him, we said, hey, this is beyond that. No worries about that. And it to me, the last thing after one particular conversation is that he was not going to be our client. I told him, I said, if you never come to us for counseling, it's all good. I want to ensure that I leave you at a better place than you came. That man reached out and said, hey, I'm really ready to break that barrier. I want therapy. The way that you dealt with me, you don't know me from anywhere, but the personality, I want to commend you and let you know to keep with it. And here I am ready to do my session. So just think about me being mean. Well, all right, if you want to kill yourself, do your thing. So awareness as well. We together with our growth, and that growth mindset is so very important. Don't think of yourself as less than and limit. No, this would never be my portion. I would never reach so high. I would never be like that. No, you never know. The person looking at you and saying, hey, I want to offer you a position here. I want to do this for you. I want to do this for your family. Just by your attitude and your character. So that's my little plug based on what you were sharing.
Yeah, so true, Camille. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, so we're going to get into the dining portion now. I believe the volunteers would start giving out some stuff. So I have display items I just want to put out.
Right, guys, thanks so much for being so attentive. Yes. What we'll do is we do a little demo here. We're not actually eating here. We're doing a little demo. So I think I'm going to show you all how to set your plates and your wine glasses, etc. So once you've done that, then we'll move across, you'll take your plates and stuff, and we'll move across to the main hall in front, and we'll have our lunch here, right?
Yeah.
Okay? Great. So we're going to go a little session on how to set the table, how to eat, and then move across.
Yeah, guys, so while they're organizing that, I just want to tell you a really quick story as to why this session is so important. I told you all a little about myself earlier and how communications has become a part of my life. I have emceed maybe 20 weddings already. 20 weddings. I am the guy that I've never been a best man because everybody wants me to MC the wedding. And because I'm emceeing your wedding, I might not get you a gift because I might not charge you. So it works out really nicely for me. Except for one thing. Every wedding that I go to, I have to order the fish option. Every single wedding, I have to order the fish option because of the first one. The first wedding, I ordered the chicken option. And when I decide to try to cut into this chicken with this not sharp knife, this thing do a kind of sidestep and skate off my plate onto the people on them centerpiece. And all I hear is, this cutlery is sharp at all, boy. And I'm like, boy, this, And I pick the chicken, That's why I just take the fish, yes? Gip, key. And I swore I would never let that happen to me again. So take this opportunity to learn how to do some of these things properly so that you could order the chicken.
Awesome.
We have fish today just in case, right?
Oh my gosh, that's funny. But so I'm going to debunk a myth here. A lot of people do not know, and again, because it's not known, people will joke about it here too if they see you doing it. But it's actually okay to use your fingers for poultry. It's actually okay. Now, it's not to pick up the whole thing and bite it, but any sort of poultry like chicken, I think turkey as well too. They call it like pheasants. It's okay to use your hand if you need help, especially if it has a bone in it. It's okay because it's acceptable.
Thank you very much for that.
So you can like catch the chicken and then now you know.
We have it on film,
All right. So like we talked about earlier, etiquette is really just making people feel comfortable around the table. How the knife and fork is laid out. We can start from there. So how the knife and fork is laid out, most times when you go to a wedding, or let's say you go to the Hyatt for dinner or something, they may set that out for you already, right? They'll put the fork out, the knife, they would have the glass and everything the correct way. So we're going to do it here today for ourselves. I have a little diagram here. It's kind of small. You probably can't see it, but it's on your handout, so you can have it to take home with you. Those of you who might know, let me see what you know so far. Let's see how you set the fork and knife. Before I say anything, take 30 seconds, no, not even 10 seconds, and lay out your knife and fork. How you think it should go. The knife, the fork, the glass, how you think it should go. Okay. What about the napkin? Where do you think the napkin should go? Well, this is not a cloth napkin. Let's improvise that it's a cloth napkin. Let's pretend. Where do you think it's gonna go? If you don't want to open out the whole thing, that's okay, because you might want to reuse it after. Oh, it's up to you. Okay. All right, very good. And those of you who didn't know, did you look to see what somebody else was doing? And then, okay, let me see what the majority of people doing, and then I just follow that? Or did you genuinely know? Let's be honest. Remember, at one point we didn't know too. Sir didn't know. Just the other day, Sir didn't know. So don't be embarrassed. Don't be embarrassed. That's how we learn. All right. So if it is you didn't know, did you look at what the other person was doing? Very good. So that's what Camille actually said she did. That is one of the first things that you can remember about a dining experience. If you are invited and a host invites you to have a meal, regardless of the culture, that can be in a formal setting like this. It could be an Indian wedding where they eat it on a fig leaf. It could be for hibachi where they go into, cook all the things in front of you. The host is the leader of that meal. The host guides who would eat first, which would be the host. The host would guide when, okay, so guys, let's start to eat. The host is supposed to be responsible for paying the bill. And the host would lead the direction and the mood of the dining experience. All right, so if you were not sure what to do and you had to look at somebody, that's all right. Maybe that person wasn't the host, but that's good. So let's pretend that, what's your name? Marilee. Okay, so because Marilee is at the top of the table, we'll just pretend that she's the host, right? So Marilee actually did a good job. She set her things out properly. And this is exactly how it should be. You're going to put the forks. Let's deal with forks first. Forks in the order of smallest to largest. Why do you think we do smallest to largest with utensils? Let's say for forks. Okay, very good. Yes, give her a round of applause. So she said appetizers, not necessarily appetizers, but the order in which the meal is served. So you might go to a meal experience and they're serving a 3-course meal, 4-course meal, and you see, you go on there and you see how much utensils, like Camille said when she got invited to the event. And you say, but it's only one meal I come here to eat. Why do I have all this fork? When I home, I don't even use fork. I use spoons. But each utensil serves a purpose. So you will tend to see smaller utensils on the outside because you would start with something small first. You might start with a salad first. You might start, then you move on to an appetizer, or you might just start with an appetizer, and each fork would be used for that. That is very important to remember because it makes your meal experience easier for you. So you know that you're starting from the outside coming in. And as you're finished with a utensil, your server is supposed, most likely they're supposed to remove what you finished with first. So the smaller plate tends to be on top because the smaller plate is where they will put the salad. Sometimes you might see a bowl on top there as if they're serving soup. And sometimes they may bring a plate if they have bread. They might bring an extra basket depending on where you go. If you've ever been to like Olive Garden or those type of places that serve bread or biscuits or whatever, they would bring that bread and they'll put it there. They may also bring a little butter knife. I brought one to show you. They may bring something like this that you can use for butter, or they might just bring a smaller regular looking knife if you want to eat bread and butter. All right. So when they finish, when they put the first course down, let's say the first course was soup or the first course was salad, you would use whatever utensils is on the outside coming in. And as you're finished, the server will then pick those utensils up and the plate or whatever, the bowl that you finished with, and they will move it away and then they move on to the next course. Any questions? No. All right, so you're moving on to the main meal now, and now is the time to use the knife and fork. So based on what you would have ordered, they would bring probably a different fork for you based on what you would have ordered, right? Not fork, a different knife based on what you would have ordered. So they would have the basic knife that you guys have here, basic knife and fork. But I'm sure you would have seen, let's say somebody ordered steak. They bring this big knife like a cutting up chicken home, right? That is obviously because those type of meats are harder. I don't have a knife like that, but I'm sure you've seen it. So this is basic knife and fork that you would use, right? So your knife and fork is already there and you're going to have your meal. And you're trying to figure out now, okay, how I'm going to use this. If you are right-handed, it tends to become easier for you to hold a fork in your right hand because that's your dominant hand, you're accustomed with that, might feel a little easier, especially if you're in pasta and things like that. But there are 2 styles of dining and etiquette, and you can actually use your knife and fork in 2 different ways based on which one is more comfortable for you, all right? So there's the American style and there's the continental style. We in Trinidad here, we tend to use I think it's the continental style more, where we would keep our left hand on the fork, our left hand on the knife most times, and then the right hand here. So it's tend to, I think it's a British thing, you know, obviously continental thing. So we incorporated that, and we tend to always, so we would cut the chicken, and then we struggle in here to pick up the rice. But it's actually okay to cut your protein, put down your knife, and or transfer it like that in one movement and use your right hand. And that's the American style. It is not common here, obviously, because we incorporated a lot of British etiquette things. Our system is incorporated from that. So that was kind of passed down, that we just continue to maintain this. But you can swap it over if you are more comfortable using your right hand and just continue your meal like that. Of course, that takes more time, I find, because every time you have to take a bite, you have to switch hands. It's like, and then like, you know, but if you can navigate holding it like this, if you're a left-hander, then great, because then your left hand now becomes your dominant hand. So then you don't have to struggle with this. You might be struggling with your right hand. All right. So before we move on, how about you take up your knife and fork and just hold it? See which hand feels better for you. And when you're holding it just kind of like a pencil. Think about holding a pencil. Your thumb finger goes on the inside, your index pressing on the back of the utensil. Same thing, thumb on the front, index pressing on the back of the utensil. And you're not holding it like you're going to, not like that. Just very relaxed, very, yes, I'm hungry, but you know. Good, very good. And practice now doing that movement of changing the utensil in the other direction without, when I say as if you're going to put it on the plate. So you're holding it up like this, you pick up the, because you're sitting now, you pick up the utensils and you're going into the plate now. So practice that, putting it onto the plate. Right. So let's imagine that you have a piece of fish or chicken on the plate served with some rice or potatoes and some sort of sauce, right? So you're imagining that. Napkins are usually placed on our laps. Sometimes we tend to put napkins here. People will put that there. You're not a baby putting a bib. That is just something that people have done, and I think it's just been passed on, but it's actually not very, you shouldn't do that. So if you go out on a date and you see the guy doing that, don't tell him, don't do that, but just know that he's not going to get a second call. All right? Because why are you putting that there? But, right, good. So napkins tend to go on our laps and we leave them there while we're having the meal. You flip it over and the fork is facing down because you want the fork to be the thing, the anchor that keeps the stuff on the plate, right? Sir probably wasn't holding the chicken good. That's why it's snide off. It was a dull fork. So you're sticking the fork into the protein as tough as you could. You don't want to stab the chicken, because especially if other people are around the table. You keep your, remember we talked about posture in the beginning. So you shouldn't have to feel like you have to sit upright, because you should already been positioned yourself in the seat and it should be automatic for you. So you're sitting upright and you're cutting. Of course, I'm standing, but you don't want to lean too much. It's just supposed to be like a little lean, like almost like your head is just tipping in so that you could see what you're doing, but your body not necessarily all the way. Now, let's say you were having soup. I forgot to mention this, and you had to pick up the, you know, sometimes in Trinidad, we tend to put our head down to the bowl. The way the soup spoons are designed, if you notice, is a lot deeper. So you're just supposed to use the spoon, put it into the bowl, pick it up, and then you have the soup. We tend to bring the soup this way, but when you do that, it will spill. That's why sometimes the side of your rim of your bowl soup always end up spilling off the outside. So you want to use the spoon, go in, and then it automatically comes like this. Bring it in. It's weird talking about it, but when you have a bowl of soup in front of you, it mightn't be easy to do with cow soup and a big piece of cow. But restaurants tend to serve more pureed soups. So you just put it in and you're not, no, it's just like a sip and you put it back down. All right, so we dip in the fork into the protein, and your knife is just a graceful cut. A very graceful cut, not too small because you don't want to spend 5 hours trying to finish your meal, but not too big that you're going to be taking forever to chew, or it's going to give you trouble to go in your mouth, or you're going to choke. So you just cut a normal size that is an appropriate size that you know you're going to be able to eat. If you're having potatoes, you might be able to push some potatoes on there with the protein as well, and you can have them together. Rice tends to be a little more technical. You'll probably have to switch around the fork if you're doing the continental style, or but if you were doing the American, when you had the protein on here, you could easily swap it around. You still have the piece of meat here, and then you just put some rice in, and you can have them both together. Does that make sense? Sounds easy? Sounds hard? It will take time to get. It will really take time. It's not something that you will get overnight. You'll have to really practice, and don't feel bad to practice at home. Tomorrow is Sunday. Mommy make macaroni pie, pull out your knife and fork and practice. It's okay to try. The other day, my little daughter, she's 10, she was having pancakes, and I saw her with a knife and fork. But the weekend before, I had an etiquette class for pageants, and I took them with me. And she was there sitting and listening and thinking, I didn't think she was taking me on. Because, you know, children, they think they're not taking you on. And the next weekend, she's having her pancakes, and I see her eating it with a knife and fork. She was practicing, because obviously at 10, you know, it's hard for you to navigate that. So she's practicing, so practice at home. Anything you're eating, practice at home, all right? So let's say you want to get up from having that meal. You're not finished eating yet, but you want to go to the bathroom, or you got a phone call and you want to take that call outside, because you don't want to answer the phone at a meal when you're having a meal in shared company. You don't want to pick up the phone right away. Yeah, see, you try to call me. No, tell him not today. Oh gosh, mommy, how you will carrying on a whole 7-10 minute conversation while everybody eating, waiting on you to finish. You want it, your phone rings, you want to take the call, if you have to take the call. Because remember, we spoke about before that constant access is not something that we should be giving every minute. So if you're having dinner with your family, with a friend, it's okay to give that person your attention. It's okay to not answer the call. And you call the person when you're finished. But if it's an emergency, maybe you're a parent and you see a child calling, or you guys and your parents calling, you want to answer the call, you ask the person at the table, can you excuse me a minute? Take the phone, and you step away and you take the call. But before you get up, remember, you have this napkin on your lap, you have these utensils in your hand, you have your food there, all of those things. What do I do? So first thing is, you want to get up, so you want to take the napkin up, right? What do you think you're going to do with the napkin? Hold it. Hold it. No, actually. So the appropriate thing to do, because servers, just as you are learning etiquette, servers in particular restaurants, they know etiquette too, but from a serving standpoint. So sometimes you might do something that they believe is a cue based on what somebody else learning etiquette knows, and you put your napkin one way and they come back and your plate of food gone. All right? So when you are getting up to come back, you just pull your chair out a little bit. If you have to do that, you don't want to drag the chair to wake up the whole restaurant. Just pull your chair out gently, and you get up and you put your napkin on your seat. This tells the server, I will be right back. And when they come, they see the napkin on the seat, they know, okay, the person coming back. Another way to tell your server, I will be right back, is to put your utensils in the sign of, I think, what is this on the clock? 6 and 4? No, the 6 is it. 5 and 8, about there, yeah. 5 and 8, because they don't want to put it like, right, yes. So basically putting it like this. 5 and 8, yeah. So like this. In a sideways, or like a V. I tend to say like a V, all right? Put it in like an upside down V on your plate. So this also tells the server, I will be right back. And I remember some years ago, I was at a Christmas dinner, and the person I was with, they put their utensils like this just in talking and whatever. And the server came. This was at the Radisson. You know, they have this upstairs. This, what do they call it Radisson still? Yeah, the revolving restaurant. And the waiter came and he was like, "You finished?" And the person was like, "No, no, no. Why are you coming to take my food?" But it was because the person didn't know, and that's okay because you don't always know these things unless you're told. But some servers, they are trained that way. So they're trained to look out for these cues. So then they're thinking, okay, this person put this thing this way. Maybe it means that they're finished. Let me go and get it, see what they need. So they're just doing their job. So the next time, maybe you do it by accident and somebody comes and asks you if you're finished. It's not that they're hurrying you up. It could just be that they assumed that you were done. So you're going to the bathroom, you get up. Well, you will do this first. You put your utensils in a V shape. You put your napkin on the chair, and that tells the server, "I will be right back." When you come back to your seat, you finish the rest of your meal. You put your knife and fork back in a straight position, 12 and 6, and you put your napkin on your table at the side of you, the side that you don't have your glass on, in the empty side. Or if your plate are really, really empty, well, then you put it on your plate, but that's not the best thing to do because it will dirty up the napkin. All right? Those napkins are used for just gently tapping and wiping. It's not used for you to wipe your face if you're a gentleman and you're sweating. It's not used for you to wipe your makeup or for you to wipe down your hand. Remember, these things are reused by people. If you want to really, really wipe something up, you can probably ask for disposable napkins. Restaurants will have that. But those cloth napkins, they use to just gently tap, to gently wipe your fingers. As ladies, you want that your napkin, and men too, your napkin should not look messy, even though it's meant to collect mess. So the way how it appears on your lap, the facing side should always look clean, unless unfortunately something spilled on it, then you could ask for a next one. But generally, the wiping part that you should use is on the inside. So when it's folded over, you're supposed to, let's say you want to wipe your fingers on the inside of the napkin. You pick it up and you wipe your mouth, wipe it on the inside, especially if it's a light color. This is why in restaurants you tend to find that napkins are darker colors, dark reds, maroons, greens, blue, sometimes even black. Hardly likely you'll see white napkins. You might see it at a formal event. You might see it at a restaurant or two, but they tend to be darker just so that it doesn't look stained and make you look untidy. As women wearing lipstick, our drink and how we keep our glass also leaves an impact on the dining experience and the people that we're having our meal with. Yes, we're wearing lipstick, and lipstick will end up on our drink sometimes, but we want to be mindful of how that might look based on the type of glass that we're having our drink in. All right, so let's say you're having tea and you are drinking from one side of the cup. As someone wearing lipstick, you want to try to drink from that side all the time so that you're not continuously, going around and then all here is like lipstick stains all over. Try to always, especially if you're wearing a very dark color, drink from the same place so that it just leaves it one place, It's good etiquette and good care and kind for the people that are washing your dishes after. These are human beings as well too, that are in a job, and they're going to take these things away. So all these things that you're doing here, it also is telling the people picking up your stuff after you that I appreciate what you do. I appreciated what you do, and I care about you too. As we're on the topic of glasses, so we know that there are all types of glasses these days that people have in restaurants and stuff. There are mason jars, wine glasses. There's these nice bamboo ones with the nice glass straws, all sorts of fancy stuff. But the basic ones, we might have water glasses. They call these water tumblers, juice tumblers. And this is the most commonly one you might see at a wedding or something that you go to where there might be a buffet line. Even when they might serve and set up the table too, they tend to have simple ones like these. These are used for water, juices, sodas, even things like that, right? Non-alcoholic drinks. Wine glasses now, again, there are several other shapes and sizes and colors of wine glasses. Basic wine glasses come in a very, very deep bowl or a kind of smaller type of shape. There is a reason for that. When you guys get older and you start drinking alcohol, you can learn all about different wines and stuff, but deeper bowls are more so used for red wine, and the smaller ones are tend to use for white. If you notice champagne, they serve it in like a flute, like what you guys have there, or even the ones with the longer stems, those are for the bubbles. And that has to do with how wine tastes based on the air, the touching the wine, and all those things that you all could learn later on in life. All right, I'm hoping one day to make a trip to Napa. That's my dream, to go on a wine country tour and just drink wine whole day. And learn about different things and stuff like that, how this tastes with that and all those things too. Because if you order certain types of foods and you have it with a different type of wine, it might not taste good. If you order certain type of foods and you have it with a different type of whiskey or cognac, it mightn't taste good. So when you guys get to that age, we could probably come back and do maybe another workshop for the older ones, because those things are important to order the right thing for your drink so that you really enjoy the meal. And then you don't order something and say, but how is tasting so? That time it was tasting good, but it's just the drink that you're having it with made it taste off balance. All right, so those things are important. Coffee and tea, you might see a little milk thing like this. They tend to bring milk sometimes in a little jar like this. Generally, if they bring something like this, it's because milk or is not, let's say maybe you are the only person that order coffee after dessert or whatever. They might put a little bit of milk in this, and this is normally supposed to be for one person because they don't know how many people, how many milk a person might want. One person might just want a little bit, another person might want plenty. And then they would bring the sugar and you could serve yourself. Or some places might ask you, do you want milk and sugar? And then you can say, well, I would like, yes, milk and sugar. They might say, how much sugars? If they say how much sugars, the average that they mean is the little packets. Those little packets that they have. Some places have cubes too, but mostly the little packets. So they might say, oh, just one sugar, and I come back and this thing not tasting sweet at all. It's not tasting like it have any. That's because that's not even a teaspoon. That's probably like a half a teaspoon. So just imagine in your mind, average, okay, I like my tea, I like my sugar, I like my coffee a little sweet. Maybe I should put 2. Or maybe I can ask them, can you bring me the sugar at the side so that I can see? Remember, you are paying for this experience, so it's never, don't ever feel shy or bad to ask for something at a restaurant. You are the person being served. It's just how you ask it is what matters. Yes, you might go somewhere and the person might be like, gosh, you only asking me for all kind of thing. That's their problem. But how you ask is important, but it's okay to ask. You want something extra, you made a little mess, you want to get an extra napkin, ask. It's fine to ask. All right? So you finish with your meal. They take away the main plate and you're going to have dessert. All right? Before we go into dessert, let's just touch a little bit on the drinks. So like I said just now, if you're having a drink, you want to remember to have it. If you have on lipstick, to have it on that side, right? But holding your glasses is also important. We have a flute here. So generally, if you're holding a flute, you hold it from the bottom. And that is obviously because it's designed, it's made to be that way, it's more comfortable. It also helps you to not make your drink warm because your hand, your body carries its own temperature. So if you're holding a drink up here, it will make the drink warmer. All right, so you can hold it at the bottom here and it keeps the drink cooler for longer. All right, when you are asking for refills, depending on what the refill that you're having, if it's water, the waiter tends to serve it. But if you're having like a buffet style meal, let's say it's Christmas and you're having a buffet style meal and you're passing around a jug around the table, always pass it from the person at the top of the table and go around. So if the water is down here and this person here wants it, it might sound kind of counterproductive, but you want to go in a clockwise direction. All right? And this is so that everybody can get a chance to refill without having to ask. So let's say, and especially at the beginning of the meal, if there are different courses, and we're now starting to eat, you see it a lot in like, you see it in the movies and stuff too with Thanksgiving, when people having Thanksgiving meals and they say, can somebody pass me the potatoes? They would start passing it around. You're not going to pass Camille is not going to be here with the potatoes, and she passing it to Miriam, merrily, and she passing it to merrily, quite merrily, stretching, and two of them stretching it, and then I knock down the glass here. No, pass it around so that everybody can get a chance to take it. Even if they didn't want more, they'll just pass it. But if they want more, it might be passing, and they might say, hey, you know, I should take a little bit more. And everybody gets, and then they pass it and they put it back down. If it has space, you could rest it back somewhere else on the table and has space. Those little things help to enhance the dining experience and make everybody feel comfortable and makes the meal experience not boring too. Conversation as well during the meal time is very, very important. You don't want to be too focused on how to cut this chicken, boy. And in your mind, that's all you're thinking, how to cut this chicken. That everybody by the table quiet like it's an exam. No, you're supposed to be having fun. You're supposed to be out having a good meal. You want to talk. You want to keep the conversations nice and light too. Nothing that going and cause a fight. It's not Real Housewives of Trinidad and Tobago. So you're not going to be like, you know, getting into arguments and stuff at the table. But you want to make mealtime a nice time of conversation. Again, talking about American TV, you see a lot where, you know, the family comes home from work, the kids come home from school, and everybody like, how was your day? Let's have, you know, thing, what happened at school today, John? And da 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 da. And then they have one bite of green peas, and then the scene end, right? So you want, encourage your families tomorrow. Again, like I said, tomorrow is Sunday. Encourage your parents, mommy, daddy, let's eat together today, now. Instead of you taking your food and go to your room, let's eat together today. On the back of the handout that I put in the bags, there is a display that you guys have there with a basic setting and a formal setting. Take that home with you, and when you go home, pull out some utensils and practice a place setting. So this Christmas, you can tell your parents, mommy, daddy, I set in the table. I'm setting the table. Set it for everybody, and you could even do our own little workshop with them before, the day before. All right, guys, so this is how we eat it with a knife and fork. You use your notes. This is what we're going to do so that everybody can have a good experience and feel comfortable. You don't have to go to a fancy restaurant to have a good dining experience. You can practice at your home. All right. So we talked about napkin. We talked about getting up from the table. On the handout, it has little things like telling you when to eat. We, in Trinidad here, we tend to eat as soon as the food comes, but it's a nice practice to wait until your host is eating. Now, most cases for you guys, your host might be the parents, so whoever take you out, and you'd be like, why had I wait for mommy to eat? Oh gosh, wait now, mommy paying for the meal, daddy paying for the meal. Wait, you can at least wait on their food to come, right? So you wait until the host receives their meal, and then you guys all start eating together, all right? Take your time and chew. You don't want to eat everything down at the same time. We generally don't have salt and pepper on our tables because our food is tend to be seasoned. But if you do need extra salt and pepper and it's on the table, it's a good practice to pass them together. All right, you see them in the little shakers, you know what I'm talking about? Right, so you pass them together. That's why they generally come in a little tray together. They say that they're married. Salt and pepper, I think they were married too on Blue's Clues. Do you remember that show? Yeah. So you always pass them together. That's so that if you need salt, you might need pepper together too. All right? And we talked about conversation, pacing yourself, eating a little, but then also eating in a timely way where, you know, you not the last person to finish eating or eating too slow. All right? And you also want to be mindful of how much you eat as well. Yes, you go some places and they serve really large portions and you might want to leave back. We always want to carry back something home. That's the culture that we live in, right? We always want a doggy bag. We always want, let me carry something home for tomorrow, right? But we want to order and try our best to finish our meal there, especially if you're on a date or if you go out with somebody that's not family settings is different. But if you go out with your class teacher, someone that's a mentor to you, when you start dating at that age, you want to order something that is good enough for you to have there. Now you're not going to be like, I know this scene from White Chicks where the man was like, and for the lady, perhaps a salad. Perhaps not. Y'all can, for y'all who don't know what I'm talking about, you can look it up. It's hilarious. But You don't always want to be the lady who have a salad. Sometimes you want a steak, yes, but you can order the 4-ounce versus the 8-ounce, right? And just finish it there. And then if you want something to go, that's not always good. Or come back tomorrow when you're by yourself and order something and take it home. All right? Because based, again, we talked about cultural things. In some countries, it is actually very disrespectful to ask for more food. I think it's in like China, Asian cultures. They think that if you ask for more, it means that they didn't give you enough. And if you eat too much, as well, if you did not eat enough, if you left back too much, that you didn't enjoy the meal, that it didn't taste good. So you want to leave back just a little bit on your plate, of course, even if it tastes so good, you want to eat the last grain of rice. Try your best to leave back a little thing on the plate so it doesn't look like you were ravenous and it's like I was real hungry. My belly was in my hand, as we say in Trinidad, right? You want to let them know that okay, it was enough and I appreciate it. Tell the person, especially if you're at their home, I enjoy the meal. And if you go to a family gathering, somewhere informal, but it's still a formal meal, you're still dining together, always offer to help clean up. At the end of the meal, you offer to help clean up. Even today, when we finish here, you offer Miss Camille, Miss Claxton, Miss Simone, sorry, Miss Simone, Miss Claxton, Auntie Simone. Miss, do you need any help before I go? Offer to help clean up. When you go to your auntie's house, whoever, this is actually a good form of etiquette. And before I close, I should also say to you that when you were even preparing to go, it's a good practice to take a gift to your host. A good practice. It could be a cake from Price Mart. It could be a bottle of wine, non-alcoholic wine for $30 in the grocery. It could be whatever. Even if they say no, take something. They would appreciate it and it would leave a lasting impression. Offer to help clean up. And even if they say no, fine, but still offer. All right, let's say you were having your meal and you spilled something or you dropped a utensil. You leave the dirty utensils on the floor, you ask for a new one. Same applies for food. Even if it's the last piece of chicken that was so good. 5-second rule does not apply in formal dining situations. All right? You don't want to do that. You're not going to dust it off and be like, okay, nobody didn't see. Somebody saw. Even if nobody saw, Jesus saw. All right? You don't want to do that. Ask for a new one. Ask for a new utensil. All right, so before we close, any questions? I said yes. Basically, when you're helping the person, you also tell your host thank you as well. Very important. All right, any questions? Was that good? No questions? Did you all, was it informative? Did you? Sure.
What about chewing gums?
Chewing gum, yes. Let's say you were chewing gum before you got there, then you ask for a napkin to put it in. You don't put it in the people cloth napkin. Or stick it under the table or on the plate. You can ask for a napkin. Or you might have a little piece of paper in your bag. Tear off a piece of paper from a notebook, something in your bag, and put it in. Something. You want your plate and your place setting to be as neat and tidy as possible. As it applies to food, you see this rim here? Always use this as a guide as to where your food should not go. Anytime you see your food venturing out here, you're messy. You're making mess. As we tell little children, you're making too much mess. The rim, the natural rim that a plate has. You know, a plate has a normal a rim here. Anytime you see food touching here, then you know that you're making mess. You're going outside the periphery. So you want to stay inside here at all times. It's hard to do that sometimes when you're eating things like roti and stuff. But again, remember we said based on what you're having, these things, you wouldn't go to a press and be on the fig leaf and say, okay, do I keep this on the rim of the fig leaf? No, because the cultural situations will be different. All right? So I hope that you guys learned something today. If you have any questions, anything afterwards, feel free to follow up. You could always tell Simone, hey, my name is Akenna. You can say Miss Akenna, Auntie Akenna, Miss Kublal, whatever. Ask her for my email or my number. If you have any questions, feel free. Do not hesitate to ask. Christmas coming up, and I'm hoping that you guys are going to practice these things before. So Christmas and New Year's, when you're going over by people, you want to be the child, the teenager that impresses people when you go. People will say, oh, you see, so what's your mommy name or your daddy name? Karen, people say, is it Karen's daughter? That when you leave, the person telling their child, why you not like Karen's daughter? It should be with a knife and fork. All right, so thank you guys. Thank you so much, Simone, for having us. And
Excuse me, one question, and it's for both of you all. Do you guys have a social media handles that we could follow, pages, that type of?
Yeah, so mine would be under my name, Akenna Kublal, and then under Akenna Kublal Events. So once you look it up, you'll find both.
And for me, Camille is so much help to have you. So for Instagram, the Counselling Clinic, and also for CJ Fraser Broadcasting, you'll just type that up, CJ Fraser Broadcasting, and it's under my handle as well, the Bellote Fraser Camille, as Instagram sometimes accepts it in one way rather than the other. So once you type in Camille Fraser de Bellote, it's going to come up and all the handles are there as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, and thanks to those people online. I hope they learned. Any questions online?
No, they haven't. Nobody type anything.
Okay, all right, great. Okay then.
Thank you.
So we'd like to just present Camille and Akenna with just a little tiny token of appreciation from the girls.
You know, I was looking at it. I had a little double take, but just
Yes, you
I
are.
was like, wait a minute.
Yes, we have twins.
So we spoke about public speaking. We're supposed to hear something on behalf of the Sapphire.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having us. Foundation, we'd like to thank you for your contributions. Thank you so much. Give them a round of applause.
Right, thank you very much everyone for coming out today. It's been a wonderful session. Thank you to Akenna, thank you to Camille. I mean, we've learned so much. It's been a wonderful experience, and it's something that will take practice, but we will keep at it. Public speaking and dining etiquette and meet and greet etiquette, it takes practice. So you won't get it all at once, but don't be discouraged, okay guys? So keep at it. We want to thank our sponsors again. As we said, we're really glad to have Unitrust with us today. We thank National Gas Company, Trinidad Generation Unlimited, and National Lotteries Control Board. We thank all our volunteers, our directors, and we thank our parents for their support, for bringing out their girls. And we thank our girls most importantly for coming out. Okay, it's been a wonderful experience today. Our next session, wow, we have a really lovely session coming up. It's going to be in October. Now it's online, but it's the Steve and Marjorie Harvey Foundation. This will be our 4th year with them. It's always a really wonderful session. The executive director, Paige, she comes on and she brings other, powerful women, and she really interacts with the girls. So I really want to advise you all, keep in touch on the emails, keep looking at your emails. We will send out the invitation for that. And that's in the middle of October. And then in November, we'll be having our community outreach where we'll go into the community and you all will get to practice your public speaking, right? Okay. And then in December, we have our grand graduation celebration. Okay. And we have Jada. Yeah, she's already into that type of public speaking. She's an ambassador, right? So this will be really helpful for her career as she goes forward. So I just want to say thanks again. We will be going over to the main hall to have our lunch. So please carry your plates, knives, forks, everything with you, and we will assemble across there.